C2 Wrestling Podcast. We are back. Snowden, sick, COVID, flu, who knows, out. We're calling in the number one prospect. If you join us at any times during our live streams, Alec, always there. He is the honorary oos of C2 Wrestling. So before we even get into what we know this video is about, what this podcast is about, Alec, how you doing today, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Chris. How about you?
I'm all right. I just got back from the gym. I'm going to NXT tonight. We're recording this on a Tuesday. Um, Raw was last night, solid Raw. Feel we're safe to record this now and release Thursday because
Oh yeah.
the Rumble card is pretty much set. Uh, since you're new, we'll ask a few different questions outside of just the Rumble card itself. Four match card. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about the lesser matches?
The lesser matches have been shown to work down the line with, this Triple H era is what they call it now. So I'm excited, because I feel like the build up for these matches mean a lot. And I feel like the times they're going to focus on these rumbles are going to be long rather than just like 40 minutes through the women's or 45 minutes through the men's. I think they're going to give a long, maybe an hour and a half per rumble. And then Owens Cody itself, that match explains itself. That match has been building up for months now, and the severity of the situation of, now it being a ladder match. We haven't seen one of those in a long time. So to see that on such a big pay-per-view and basically for two belts, it's going to be exciting to watch. I'm so pumped. Rumble Week is, kickoff for WrestleMania, and there's no better time as a wrestling fan.
6 p.m. start time. It feels
Yeah.
weird. I kind
Yeah.
of like it. I kind of don't.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird. I'm not used to this, like all these pay-per-views lately, weird different times, afternoon, 3 p.m., 12. My wife, she has to get used to all these times because I'm like, I got to be home at like 2 p.m. because we got a pay-per-view starting in like London. And, you know, so it's hard to, for us, to get used to it. But I'm glad to see, all these different times. I mean, growing up, we used to be watching wrestling until like 12 o'clock at night, especially these Rumbles, because they
Yeah.
would have like 15 matches on the card and on top of the Rumbles, which would be long. So I'm glad that we have like these just four matches on the card and they're able to focus, and it just seems very important. It just doesn't just seem like a pay-per-view that's going to be rushed through. And none of these Triple H pay-per-views feel like they're ever rushed through, which is great. So.
Do you think they open with a Rumble? Do you go Rumble, match, match, Rumble, or do you go match, Rumble, match, Rumble?
So traditionally, they've been going, they usually start with the women's or they start with the men's. But usually it's the women's. I think they're going to start with Cody and Kevin,
Okay.
which is going to carry over into the men's rumble with Sami Zayn specifically. I think it's going to carry over um, because of
Like,
Kevin Owens wanting Sammy's help. And we'll, get to that point when we get to that match. But I think they're going to open up with the ladder match, Cody Rhodes pumping up the crowd and Kevin Owens, the guy that holds a grudge on everything. So it's gonna be a great opening. That's what I think is going to happen. It's either that or it's going to be the Women's Rumble. But like I said, I think it's going to be Cody and Kevin opening up the show.
what's insane is last year's Rumble, I want to say they had 48,000, I saw, something like that. And this year's Rumble is 60,000 people.
Yeah.
I know I know people aren't like crazy about all these 2 day events that are happening now. Like Mania's a 2 day, deserves to be a 2 day.
Yeah.
SummerSlam's a 2 day. You can see why they're making it a 2 day.
Yeah.
It feels like if anything else is going to become a 2 day, it's going to be the Rumble, especially if they're going to start selling 60,000 tickets for a night. Like it
Yeah.
feels we're destined for that, where the women's Rumble main events one night, men's Rumble main events the other night.
Yeah. I think eventually down the line, I don't know as a wrestling fan if I would enjoy the Rumble being split up in 2 days. Because I really do, just growing up, just as a wrestling fan, the Rumble being one day has always been special. And, I could get used to the different times and all that, but I don't know if I could get used to getting the Rumble being in 2 days worth. I could get with the SummerSlam being in 2 days. I could get with WrestleMania being 2 days. But, we'll see when we get down to the line in regards of the Rumble, possibly being split up. But they're selling out crazy amount of seats per event, not even just Raw, SmackDown, their pay-per-views. They're selling live shows. And Triple H has emphasized, getting smaller ramps, smaller stages to fit more seats. And it's working and it's selling. So why not just double down on it and make it 2 days? I mean, I'll support it. I'll watch Rumble if it's playing at 2 in the morning. I'll be up supporting it. That's just how crazy we are as wrestling fans.
You know what I just thought of? And this is I don't want to dampen the mood. This is a happy mood podcast. It's Rumble week. We're on the road to WrestleMania, WrestleMania 41, going to be a massive mania. But something just dawned on me when we were talking about the start time at 6 p.m. It's gonna fucking suck next year when the Rumble's in Saudi.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
forgot all about it until just now.
yeah, that's definitely it's gonna be a tough one to get even like used to and to even like possibly even get excited for. But I'll always will get excited, for the Rumble every time, but yeah, I'm not really excited about it being in Saudi. And, I guess we'll see what happens when we get there, but we have a long way to get there. I'm going to enjoy this weekend, enjoy, the build up for Mania. And they said they have a lot of big plans for this WrestleMania. So I'm excited to see everything to start, raveling apart, during the Rumble, who's throwing over who stares down somebody, for a long period of time. Like these build-ups are special starting now that, this Saturday night.
Yeah, and next year's SummerSlam and Rumble, you're kind of questioning where they could be. We know the Rumble now is in Saudi. SummerSlam seeming like it's heading maybe back to Indy where this year's Rumble is. Next year's Rumble is gonna suck. It's gonna be like 1 p.m. start time.
Yep.
The Rumble's gonna be over. It's gonna be like 6 p.m. on a Saturday. That just doesn't feel like a Rumble. So we'll cherish this one because honestly, even though it's four matches and two of them are Rumbles, this is a damn fun card. This is a
Yeah.
damn fun card. So we'll
Yeah.
start. You think it's gonna start with Cody Owens? So we'll start there. I know we're going to be on the same page with a pick on this, so we'll talk more about the match itself than the actual pick. I guess my first question would be, does Randy come back here?
Oof. Honestly, I didn't even think about that. Not even gonna lie. I totally forgot he's been off TV for quite some time. I thought it was gonna be a Rumble entry, but yeah, I mean it would make sense. And then it's interesting to with the Sammy side now, like I probably would agree with Orton coming back, but like what is the Sammy stuff gonna play? Like you could have Orton come out, cost Owens, RKO him off the ladder, some crazy spot. And then where's the Sammy stuff going to fit in? Because I mean, Sammy doesn't have any technically like hard spots for Randy. So it's like, where are they going to fit that story with him? So I'm interested to see. I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess Orton could return and cost Owens. I mean, that's likely the cause. But then like I said, they're teasing Sammy on the other end. And then what are they going to have? Orton versus Owens, what at
And you do it
Elimination
at
Chamber?
the chamber? Like it
Yeah,
just
like
doesn't
that's what I'm thinking.
doesn't
Like,
feel
because it
right.
doesn't make sense to carry it on till Mania, but they could. But then what was the point of the Sammy stuff? So that's when I go back and forth as a wrestling fan is like, what does Triple H have in mind? Because he's always 50 steps ahead of us as wrestling fans. So
Selfishly, I would like Sammy to not face Owens at Mania, have that be a little bit after, just so I can tell Snowden I told you so. Because it's seeming like he's got one up on me. I've been bought into they're gonna do Owens Orton at Mania, and the longer Orton's been kept off screen, the more I've been like they're waiting to bring him back
yeah,
because to me it's like the first match back for him has to be Owens. Like that is
no, it
that
has
is
to
the
be.
story. So the Sammy Mixon, I don't know, a little bit of like Cross getting involved. I don't want to say they're going to do Sammy Cross at Mania, but
Hmm.
maybe that's kind of the path, and then after Mania, Sammy and Owens maybe face, or maybe they team again. I don't know. I just Randy's coming back at some point.
Yeah.
He's coming back at some point, and who knows? Maybe he comes back and he does turn, and it's the comeback that some people think, where it was the eye opener for Randy that he has to turn on Cody, and Owens was right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they do. I don't think it is. I think Randy, since he's such a strong face at this point, they're not going to turn him heel just
No.
yet. But it's not impossible. I mean, you could easily see Owens standing on the ladder being about four rungs away, and Orton grabs his foot, pulls him back, and hits an RKO in the air.
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty crazy, like the stories that we can get out of this, in this match. I would probably assume more of thinking about it now and talking about it. I would assume more Orton coming back than Sam. I never thought Sammy would even be involved. Um,
The
but
story makes sense for Sammy to not help
yeah, makes more
Owens
sense for
in
him
that
not to be
prolonged feud. Yeah.
involved than rather than being involved. Or Owens is, I guess we'll just talk about that now, the elephant in the room. I just don't think Owens is going to walk away as the current champion in this match. Love Owens, big Owens support. Love the work he's been doing for these last couple months. It's probably one of his best works that he's been doing overall. Um, and the guy is the biggest troll in the company right now. Him and Drew McIntyre carrying this company as the biggest trolls. So watching these two, do the magic that they do, especially Cody, carrying this vendetta. He's like on site, I'm fighting Owens, and he is a man on his word. Anytime Owens comes out, he's fighting him in the crowd, backstage, on the ramp, in the ring. This makes again, going back to what we said in the beginning, this makes the feud so much more important than just a normal match thrown together in a month or just for like a Saturday night main event type of match. Like this is what a Royal Rumble match should be built for. And the title should be built for because it is this major thing that Owens wants. And he feels like he's getting done wrong throughout this entire time and he has a point proven. And you can't be wrong. Like him as a wrestling fan or a wrestler, we all see like what he means by what he is saying to everybody because it makes sense. Like all of it makes sense.
You know, when they first announced this match and they announced it for the Rumble, it felt like it was so far away because this match got announced before the Raw
Yeah.
debut on Netflix. And it was like, holy hell, how are they going to stretch this all the way to the Rumble? And honestly, it really hasn't felt stretched at all.
No. And they have them both appearing on both shows,
Yeah,
which
which
is great.
makes it feel like, if you told me beforehand, hey, they're going to announce it for 6 weeks from now, and they're both going to appear on both shows, I'm going to be like, holy hell, this is going to get repetitive. And it's going to get to the point where I'm just like, all right, I'm just ready for the match, which
Yep.
does happen at times. I don't feel that at all, especially with the little changes in the story with Sami Zayn kind of being factored in, Drew McIntyre getting factored in, Seth Rollins getting factored in, the little additions, even Roman Reigns, Paul
Yeah.
Heyman, like that has helped this story get there, which what felt like was going to be a tough build in those 6 weeks, considering this is the third time they faced.
Yeah.
So
Literally.
it flew by. Cody's the pick, obviously.
Yeah.
Cody's going to retain. I don't even think stunned would be the proper word
Yeah.
if
I don't know
Cody
how I would
lost.
react.
I think one annoying thing though, and I know you'll probably feel the same way. I hate. I don't. I try to not pay attention to too much of wrestling fans on Twitter who complain just to complain.
Oh yeah.
I really hate when people say they want something, they know it's not going to happen, but
Yep.
they set it up so they can be mad and complain when it doesn't happen. Like,
Yep.
no one is watching this, and everyone's like, oh, Owens has to win. Owens has to win. It's like, no one thinks Kevin Owens is actually going to win this match. Cody Rhodes is the face of the company, and they're 2 months before WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen so many tweets of like, if Cody loses, this is a complete waste. It's like, what? Not everyone has to become
No.
WWE champion.
No. Owens will have his time. Same with Drew, because a lot of people you see that on Twitter about both of them. To be honest, is Drew needs that title, which he does. I do agree. I do agree that he does deserve it down the line, sooner rather than later, because the work Drew and Owens have been putting in has been insane and the best work. And it makes it look so real because, wrestling is real. So, I mean,
Yeah, it is.
to
I mean, what
us,
they're
it's
saying
like,
is true. It's real.
yeah. So it's like Owens and McIntyre, those two eventually deserve, their championship run. But it's not right now. Cody is the quarterback of this organization right now, running WWE. He is the guy that's got to be the champion going into WrestleMania this year. So,
I saw a tweet that summed it up pretty well. Like a lot of wrestling fans, don't get me wrong, I love wrestling fans. We know about the loud minority on social
yeah,
media. Like we all, if you're watching, you know I'm not talking about you unless you know I'm talking about you because you're that
yep,
person. Someone had said like I think wrestling fans are forgetting that there's like what challengers are. Like you're not every person that competes for the title just wins the title. Like
no,
you can just always be a challenger. Like they were mainly talking about Jey Uso not winning the title. It's like, yeah, well,
yeah,
he's still over as hell. He's still beloved.
yeah,
Like he's not going anywhere. Like the term like, oh, if Owens loses, he's buried. He should just give up. It's like, dude, he's on TV every week. He's in the main event scene. He's facing the face of the company. He is one of the most over guys. Everything he does crazy numbers.
yep,
Like you don't have to be the champion to be doing well in the company.
no. And he, like, again, anytime he comes on that mic, everybody pays attention. Everybody listens to him. He grabs that attention from the crowd. He grabs that attention from you watching at home. You feel it. So I don't think that, he needs to hold that belt to carry himself because Owens already is that guy. He's been that guy since he's came into this company back in, what was it, like 2014 made his debut against John Cena, powerbombed him while he was NXT champion. John Cena was United States champion. There's no better way to make a statement into the WWE than what Owens did. If you look back at a lot of these other superstars that have come in, no one has got pushed the way that Owens has since the beginning. So he doesn't need this specific title run to, emphasize his career because he's already there. He's already on top of the mountain. It doesn't mean you have to be a champion to be on the top of the mountain. There's many people that are on this mountain right now, and that's okay. You don't have to be a champion just to be at that point.
Okay, face Stone Cold in the main event of WrestleMania. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
really.
but no title on the line. Like he's doing just fine. And my biggest argument with Owens, with people who are so adamant that he has to win the title, I think it's quite difficult for me to wrap my head around people who love what he's doing right now and the injustices and everything and not want to see more of it. Like if he wins the title, you're losing a lot of it. If
Yeah,
he if he loses, you get the I didn't get help from Sammy, he's my best friend. You get the Orton rivalry
yep,
resurgence. You get the world is against me.
yep.
I'm right, everyone else is wrong. If he just wins the title, first
Then
of all,
what?
he's gonna have to face Cody again. Like that's gonna be the Mania match at that point.
Yeah,
And second off, it's like what he's doing is so well based on him not being the champion.
yeah.
So keep him not the champion.
Literally, it makes no sense for him to have the title right now. So, like we said, I think Cody, clear winner here. Will Orton interfere? It's definitely a high possibility because it wouldn't make sense for Orton just to come in the Rumble and, I don't see him winning it at all. So I think Orton's return would be in this match, costing Owens after taking a pile driver, and he's been off TV for 2, 3 months now.
Yeah.
So quite some time, like to the point where I almost forgot that this was a possibility. So
Yeah. I mean, if this were Vince, he would just come back in the Rumble as if nothing happened. We remember the
yeah,
Dolph Ziggler United States Championship relinquishes it and then just randomly shows up as number 30 in the Rumble and loses.
yeah,
They just go nowhere with it. Uh, the other title match is quite an interesting one. It's my main event, if we're being
Yeah.
honest. It's my main event.
Yeah.
A 2 out of 3 falls WWE Tag Team title match, the first tag title match on a pay-per-view PLE since WrestleMania 40.
So long.
DIY defending against the Motor City Machine Guns in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Before we get into picks or anything, Snowden and I have talked a bunch about it. I would love your opinion on it. The SmackDown tag division, it feels like you look at, you know how in history it's like BC and AD, before Christ and after
Yeah.
death. It's like before Motor City, after Motor City. Like before down here, they come up, they sign since the
Yeah.
entire tag division skyrocketed.
Yeah. No, you definitely feel it. You definitely see it too on TV, like the seriousness behind sorry,
You good?
behind the tag division now. Ever since Motor City Machine Guns came to WWE and signed, no one thought they were going to, well, we did, but some other people didn't think they were going to get, recognized as much as they would. And they are. And then them winning the titles right away just showed how serious they are with them specifically. And then DIY is also has grown. They turned to a heel group, and that has also benefited them down the long run. So this tag division now in SmackDown is definitely superior compared to like Raw. And Raw is also starting to pick up their tag matches as well. So like I feel like it is elevating the matches in SmackDown and Raw itself. And you see it on the shows each and every week. The tag titles and the Raw last night, as an example. Great match with Judgment Day and the War Raiders. Put on a clinic. And it was for the tag titles. Again, being emphasized more. But like you said, it's the first time the tag matches will be on a main event, Royal Rumble pay-per-view. One of the 4 matches since WrestleMania. And if that doesn't show the importance of just how these two have carried themselves as a tag team, both of them, I don't know what else will.
That's a great point, honestly. That like this is not only just like a sign of, DIY obviously is great, but this is the Motor City Machine Guns PLE debut. This is
Yeah.
marquee. There's only 4 matches on this card, and one of them is for the tag titles. Now, could it possibly be because we know Triple H is online and he saw before this was announced, there was a ton of chatter about how the tag titles haven't been on a PLE
Yeah.
since Mania 40? That's possible. I'm going to be a little bit naive and say that's not the reason, because this story deserves this marquee
Yeah.
moment. This story deserves a big 2 out of 3 falls match. And this feels like it could be a 20-25 minute match,
Mm. Definitely
mainly
should be.
because every tag match that we're getting on SmackDown is 15-20 minutes right about now. Like these are solid multi-segment tag matches. The crowd gets into them. And I'm not going to lie, like I could definitely see the Machine Guns winning the tag titles back here.
Yeah.
I would
I think so
venture to
too.
guess it would make more sense for DIY to return or to retain, just in the fact that they recently won the titles off
Yeah.
this team. But my gut is telling me that the Machine Guns are going to win it back, and like this is the big moment on the PLE. 60,000 people, you're going to do one of your bigger numbers audience wise. You want the Machine Guns to get that kind of notoriety with the WWE fan base. My gut tells me that they're going to win the titles back. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think so, honestly, too. That they were my pick for this match. I think they're going to retain or not retain,
Well, regain.
yeah, get back the titles. And like you said, I think this is the best way for Triple H to really show, the wrestling fans that maybe that don't tune in every single week or don't really know these wrestlers from like TNA to really be like, see, these guys are special. What they're doing, they're special. This is their way of guaranteeing them, giving them the titles in front of 60 plus people, 60,000 plus people to really emphasize the importance behind this group. DIY, they've been around for quite some time already, even in NXT, tag team, split up separately, came to Raw separately, tag team. They've been around for quite some time now. This is the perfect way to really give them also their roses for being such a superior tag team before they were even in WWE. Because many wrestling fans knew who they were when they debuted, and the excitement behind them were top notch.
Yeah, I mean, we know how I feel about him. That's
Yeah.
and I'll say it, till the cows come home. That those are my boys. I love them to death.
Yep.
I feel this is the CTD main event. Don't get me wrong. The Rumble's going to be awesome, both of them. Cody Owens in a ladder match, I'm sure is going to be insane.
Yeah.
This is CTD's main event. This is my bread and butter, my Motor City Machine Guns.
Yeah.
They now thinking ahead, they if they win it back, it still feels like SmackDown probably needs a new tag team back there. The Street Profits have fallen off the face of the earth. I
Yeah.
have no idea where they went, what happened to them, what is going on. But with A-Town Down Under going over to Raw, it feels like SmackDown probably needs one more team. I mean, they have plenty of teams,
Yeah.
but one more team just to freshen it up a little bit. Because the blessing and a curse of what they've been doing with the SmackDown Tag Division, they've all been feuding with each other pretty much.
Yeah.
The Legado, Pretty Deadly, DIY, the Machine Guns, and the Street Profits up until recently.
Yeah.
It was like a five-way feud essentially. So they do need one new team just to freshen it up a little bit, no matter who wins on Saturday.
Yeah. My best, my fantasy booking down the line, maybe move American Alpha over there to SmackDown. It's where the
Yeah.
Wyatt Six are. You can get
Oh,
that
that's right. They
feud.
got the Wyatt Six. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, I forgot about that too until I just said it too. Like they got the
Yeah.
Wyatt Six. But again, what storytell, that's another time where are they going with the Wyatt Six? Because a lot of this carrying stuff is also carrying over, no pun intended, to a bunch of different feuds right now. You had him standing behind Seth, you have him talking to Sammy, and The Miz is also on SmackDown now. So like they're dealing
Yeah.
with that story. So
You know what? I'm not going to change my pick because all hail Motor City. But I could see the Wyatt Six feuding with DIY for the tag titles because story-wise, the Wyatt Six go after people who basically turned
yeah,
on their family, whatever, and Gargano and Ciampa have turned on each other plenty of times, but now Gargano turned on his best friend
yep,
growing or when he first started in the business, and Alex Shelley. So I could see DIY cheating to beat the Machine Guns, and then the Wyatt Six end up coming after them. You probably get a couple six-man tag matches of like the
yeah,
Miz and DIY versus the Wyatt Six.
it's a
I'm not gonna change
possibility.
my pick though
Yeah,
because
no.
those are my boys, but I completely forgot the Wyatt Six is on SmackDown now.
Yeah, they're definitely going to get them involved soon because they've been off TV for quite some time now. So I feel like they're going to get them back involved in a feud. Definitely could make sense with DIY. Maybe a Mania because they are a type of like you should have the Wyatt Six in a Mania type of match. I mean, no other way, better way to put them out, on a Mania stage. That type of group, that entrance alone,
Yeah.
I can just imagine now. But yeah, no, I'm still sticking with my pick too. Machine Guns, getting the tag titles back and starting that trend again.
Yeah, I'll stick with my heart, but I think my head is telling me DIY. But it's like when the Eagles play. Even if I know they're going to lose, I can't bet against them. I have
Oh
to. I got to
no.
ride with my squad. I can't. You go. You dance with the girl you brought. Uh,
Yeah.
we'll get to the first Rumble because the women's Rumble, more specifically, I've got no fucking idea who's winning this match.
I was about to say, I have no idea who is going to win.
This feels. I love it too. I love it.
Yeah.
Like last year, it felt like Bailey was going to win.
Yep.
It felt the year before that Rhea was going to win.
Yep.
Um,
And then Bianca won.
Bianca felt like she was going to win.
Yep.
When Asuka won the Rumble, it felt like she was going to win.
Yeah.
Uh, back the one in Philadelphia. This one, I mean, maybe with hindsight, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like it's not impossible that Charlotte just ends up winning anyway and faces Tiffany. I don't think it's gonna happen. I
I
think it's
hope
more
not.
likely, yeah, I think it's more likely Charlotte wins the Chamber. But man, like it just feels like if you told me going into the show, hey, Charlotte or Becky or Bianca or Io. You tell
Yeah.
me like any of the main women's wrestlers win, I'd be like, oh yeah, it makes perfect sense. I have
Yeah.
no idea which one though.
Yeah. Especially them announcing now Charlotte. I mean, I knew she was going to return anyway. So, but announcing her actual entry to the Rumble makes me lean away from her winning because she was probably my person I would think that would make sense to win. Would I want that as a wrestling fan? Probably not because she already won. I kind of want somebody different. But again, I'm so thrown on who's going to win this, which is great because I don't want to know or have a feeling who's going to win it. Because again, like I feel like whoever's going to win, it's going to make sense. Some way or the other, it's going to make sense. But I do have a person that I do think is going to win and have the most eliminations in the Rumble, and that is Jade Cargill
Ooh. So you think she returns and
and wins.
wins?
Yeah. And has the most eliminations and breaks the record of most women eliminations.
I mean, it's quite possible. If that happened, I could even see that title match getting turned to a multi-person.
Yep.
Like that would be most the most likely of winners to then have it turn into a multi-person. I mean, if she wins, who do you think she faces? Do you think she faces Rio or does she face Tiffany?
I think Rhea. I think they're gonna lean towards Charlotte and Tiffany for the Mania match. But Rhea, are they gonna have Rhea carry the belt in? I feel like she could be possibly losing the belt, maybe let's say an Elimination Chamber. I feel like that belt would be great to have an Elimination Chamber match. And Rhea somehow, let's say Bianca wins, and then Jade ends up choosing Bianca and Jade for WrestleMania, which former tag title champions. It makes sense. I don't know how they would carry that story, but that's again maybe some fantasy in my head. But I feel like she's like my dark horse pick right now is Jade coming back, winning the Rumble, and also getting that levitation from Triple H into also the fans of finally getting that moment for her to get carry that momentum. Because again, she doesn't have to carry like a Money in the Bank case. She would be somebody that would, benefit from carrying a Money in the Bank case, but she's a little bigger than that, I feel like. And I feel like a Rumble win would be perfect for Jade to win for her first like major thing.
You brought something up that honestly I feel like I've thought about but haven't really expressed. I hate how it feels like recently they're in a little bit of a pattern that the chamber is just two number one contender matches. Like it used to
Yeah.
be, a title match.
Yeah.
And it used to be like you're the champion defending in the chamber, and that's how you get to
Earn
Mania.
your
Like
right.
that's
Yeah.
that's your last. So like I think of Bryan retaining before going to Mania 28. I think of Bray Wyatt winning the title
So
before
good.
facing Orton, who had won the Rumble, and at that time he had two titles. It does definitely feel a little bit less when it's like you have two Rumble matches and then you just have two chamber matches, and those are your four
Yeah.
number one contenders. Like that definitely waters it down. In a way, I'd almost prefer you do the chamber for a mid card title. Like the
Yeah.
U.S. title chamber match ruled. That match was great.
So good.
Yeah, now
So
you
good.
have the women's mid card titles too. Like I know the chamber will most likely be number one contenders as well, but you mentioning that brought up like I would love if this was the year they went back to at least one of the matches is for a title and
Yeah.
the Mania, match is the Rumble winner saying that's the title I'm going for. Whoever makes it out of the chamber is who I got.
Yeah. I agree. That's what I was kind of putting it in the air just to throw it out there. Like I really hope that they put one of the main titles, and this is including men's too. I don't seem it likely, um, but I want one of those big titles in the Elimination Chamber match going into WrestleMania, not knowing who's going to be the champion going to WrestleMania rather than just being confident it's going to be Rhea, Gunther, and Cody Rhodes. Like, throw a little wrench in there. Make us feel like they're going to lose it. If you want them to retain, they'll retain. But if you throw that little wrench in there and somebody will take that title out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden that just changes everything, I love that stuff. And that's what we love as wrestling fans. Make the unpredictable not predictable.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do have hope. I mean, this Rumble, more so this Mania season, feels as unpredictable as possible. For the women's Rumble, I don't know. It's so like, as I mentioned, it feels like whatever happens, I'll be like, oh, yeah, that made sense. Something in my gut tells me Bianca might actually win it again. I have this weird feeling that we're going to get Naomi Jade at Mania. Um,
Okay.
I think they're going to lean towards Naomi was the one that attacked Jade, and Jade comes back for her. But at the same time, I could see that story being how they twist it into a multi-person match. I don't think they will.
Yeah.
If I had to like bet, I would bet you get Naomi, Rhea. Charlotte probably wins the chamber and faces Tiffany. And then Naomi faces Jade one on one in like
Yeah.
your marquee non-title women's match. But to go back to what you were talking about with the chamber, I would much prefer if, say, Bianca won the Rumble, Charlotte wins a number one contenders
Yep.
match or tournament, whatever, and the chamber matches for the women's intercontinental title, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. No, I agree. No, I think that's honestly a good pick. I think Bianca could be a two-time Rumble, winner after Saturday night. It would make sense. Like I said, like we keep going back, like having one of these female wrestlers, one of them would make sense. I feel like whoever's going to win, it's going to make sense at the end of the day for whatever storyline they want to go towards. And it just depends on, what they're going to do with this elimination chamber because they're really emphasizing, specifically John Cena on this elimination chamber. So is he going to get thrown in just, his himself into the men's elimination chamber for a number one contender type of match? Or are they going to do the same thing for the women's? That's something that we're going to have to wait and find out real soon because it's coming up in a month almost.
Yeah.
So once Mania season kicks off, it's full force. So yeah, no, I think that pick is, a realistic pick, to be honest. And but I'm still sticking with Jade on my pick. And we'll see if that happens, but I think, but I'm predicting, like I said, her coming back, her breaking the record for most eliminations in the Women's Rumble, and then her and Bianca possibly and Charlotte being the final three, and then Jade standing on top.
I want to gauge your opinion on something Snowden has said on this channel, which I don't think is impossible. He even said it's probably not going to happen, but it's not impossible. Jordan Grace officially signed to WWE according to Fightful.
Yep.
One would assume she's in the Rumble. Do you think there's any chance Jordan Grace wins the Rumble and faces Rhea Ripley at
Oh man,
WrestleMania?
that would chef's kiss. That would be amazing if that happened. I would be jumping off my couch. That would Oh, talk about fantasy booking right there. That is like emphasized on that. That would be the chances of that. You can never say never. We've seen crazier things done. So why not? I mean, she literally was introduced last year in the Rumble, so it's not like it'll be her first time. So I think, her winning definitely is a chance. That would be a great match, them two. For like just thinking about that right now, the spots them two would do would be top notch.
I mean, I know there's only so many Mania matches, and, you know, you're not going to have 20 matches each night.
No.
But just thinking about the women alone with things that you could fantasy book slash things that have been teased, you have both world titles. So that's two matches right there. You have both mid card titles. You could be looking at a Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch for the Intercontinental title. Like
Yeah.
that's going to be on Mania if that happens. You have the women's US title. So those are four matches right there. And then you start thinking like uh Jade slash Bianca slash Naomi, whatever that
Yep.
story, that could be a Mania match. They've been teasing a ton of Bailey and Roxanne Perez.
Yep.
Like that feels like it'd probably be a stand and deliver match to
Yeah.
help the stand and deliver card. But if you told me it's on Mania, it wouldn't shock me. I
No.
mean, that's six matches just off the top of my head that I haven't even like gone crazy over of just the women's, and you haven't even gotten to like EO Sky and Damage Control. Like there
Yeah.
feels like there's going to be a lot of outrage, I think, when it comes to Mania, because there's going to be like notable names that don't get on just because they have so many names now
Yeah.
and so few spots.
Yeah. No, this isn't like what wrestling was, growing up, women's wise. Like the women, this is like top caliber, best of the best. And unfortunately, not everybody will make that card. And I think, that's obviously Triple H's job to figure that out, who makes it, who doesn't. But I mean, that's a great problem to have compared to what we used to have. And the length of the matches too, as well, were always rough. It was always like 5 minute matches on Mania for the women's title, very quick. But growing up now, around like, when Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Bailey, all those girls got brought up, the matches got longer. They started main eventing more. Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views, even at WrestleMania. Luckily, I was there for that one. So it was, the women's now is just as important as the men's, if not sometimes even better.
Yeah, I mean, look at it this way. Last year, Elimination Chamber was literally made for Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
It was her show. She was the main event. It was basically booked around her. That
Yep.
was her show. You found out who would be facing her with Becky winning the Elimination Chamber earlier in the night. Then Rhea main events and wins.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're looking at Mania weekend. I think Stand and Deliver will get some help with some of these matches, but the women just alone, like if
Yeah.
Jordan Grace is signed and going on the main roster, Jordan Grace is going to have a Mania match. I'd
Oh,
be
yeah.
stunned if Jordan Grace isn't on Mania. Now, you could, especially with the mid card titles, you could do a multi-person match to get more people on. Wouldn't be
Yeah.
shocked if they brought back another Mania ladder match
Oh, I was about to
and
say that.
and did it.
Oh, yeah.
The women's Money in the Bank this year ruled. I know
Yeah.
it was like not the cleanest thing, but that's what made it great. Like it was the
Yeah.
most hard hitting, nasty, like brutal bumps. If you told me the women's IC title match is at Mania and it's a ladder match of like Lyra, Ivy Nile, Jordan Grace,
Yeah.
Io Sky, Zoe Stark, it's like sign me up. That match sounds
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. The spots would be amazing. And going back to the Elimination Chamber from last year, just remembering that's what's really skyrocketed Tiffany's
Yeah.
WWE career because she took that moment and knocked it out of the park. And they were like, probably immediately after, we got to put money in the bank case on her because the crowd went nuts for her. She got chants through the entire time, and she had amazing spots, and they were all clean and didn't look like she messed up at all. And that's what now she's now the women's champion going to WrestleMania possibly this year, just from a women's performance. I literally stole the show. That women's elimination chamber was amazing. And then Becky obviously ended up winning, but it was still like a putting a rocket on Tiffany's back to really like she has the it factor. And now look at it. Just fast forward a few months.
Yeah, I mean Tiffany won that match, not literally, but
Yeah.
figuratively. She won that match. That was the biggest moment at the time of her career. And now obviously it just skyrocketed her. This Rumble, it feels, we're gonna get big moments. Stone and I were joking about it that, a lot of times when you start looking at Mania and the build up and you look at the Rumble, it's like, all right, you got to pay attention to who eliminates who because that's the main event.
Yep.
And it's like, it's not always like that. Like when Styles debuted at the Rumble. Like Owens
Yeah.
eliminated him. They obviously didn't face at Mania. But a lot of matches do get made in these Rumble
Yeah.
matches from one person being thrown out or one person attacking another during or before or after the match. Like
Yeah.
at least one Mania match is going to, become obvious from one of these two Rumbles.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's usually what happens. Like it always goes down a team turning on one another. They flip over, they stare down, and then they're like sitting on the side of the ring, distraught. And the other person just like looking at them, and you just know that's going to carry over to start building up for their WrestleMania feud. So yeah, I wonders who that's going to be, women's and men's. No idea. But that's what the best part about the Rumble. It's so unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen, who's going to come out, who's going to win. And that's the best part, like I said, about the Rumble itself and the excitement just to kick off Mania season.
So we'll get into the men's Rumble next, but lastly on the women's, we expect Jordan Grace. We know Charlotte. We expect Becky Lynch, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I think it's about her time now. She got a new contract. I think she makes her, debut back to the main roster. Who's she going to feud with? That's the question. She might be one that will be either tossed over or throwing somebody over to start a feud to get her back into the groove again. Might carry into WrestleMania, might be just maybe Elimination Chamber type of match just to get her back. But she might be a possibility of somebody that will either get tossed over or throw somebody over. And are we going to get heel Becky? Or are we going to get, not heel Becky?
Yeah.
So that's the question I'm more questioning about because she might come in as a face, but then turn a heel mid-match and go back to her old self because she hasn't done that in quite some time now.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think outside of that, you'll probably get some NXT names. I mean, now though, the Women's Rumble, I mean, year one of the Women's Rumble, they had a bunch of legends in,
Yeah.
deservedly so. It's the first one. Then like years two and three, and maybe even four, I can't fully remember. It was very NXT heavy because it just didn't feel like
Yes.
they had enough people. Now it's like they can have some NXT people in it, but like
Yeah.
they are not, you know, they are not desperately, leaning on the NXT roster anymore,
No.
especially with how they get integrated with the main roster now. But they have so many women now that they'll be just fine. So I'm not expecting like anything crazy. Um, but I do expect the three that we mentioned, Charlotte, which we know, Becky, and
Yep.
Jordan Grace. So that takes us into the men's rumble, the assumed main event. We
Yeah.
would
I
assume
would say
so.
so. Yeah.
You never know because remember when people went insane when Roman Owens main
Yep.
evented, and we know why they did because the ending was one of the best
Oh.
moments of all time.
Cinema.
The men's rumble, the most stacked Royal Rumble probably of our lives.
Yeah. By far.
Yeah,
By far.
it's an insane lineup. It does feel though, as we've gotten closer, that there's definitely one name that stands out more than others. There is a strong recent push of Rollins.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, if the Chamber is the number one contender, which it seems like it's going to be with how they're pushing Cena,
Yep.
I would guess Punk wins the Rumble and maybe even Rollins wins the Chamber. But I think the Chamber will be built as Cena's last chance for the main event slot slash title match of Mania. And I think they're going to build the Cena chase for a little bit. I don't think he's
Yeah.
going to, or maybe he does get the title shot, but he loses the first try. I do think he gets number 17. I don't think it happens at Mania. But the Rumble, before Cena came out on Raw, I was like, all right, Cena's the favorite. Cena's probably going to win.
Yep.
Then when he said, all right, I'll see you next at the Rumble, I was like, oh, well, he ain't winning now. You can't have a guy not on
Yeah.
TV for
No.
a month and then come back and win.
Yeah. Definitely not. No, I feel like, Cena coming back is going to be legendary. This run is going to be legendary. People are going to want him to win the Rumble and even get that belt as soon as possible. I think they're going to make us work for it, as they should. I don't want this to be rushed. I want to enjoy this. I want to enjoy this, last run, because we all grew up watching him and his legend career that he's had and he continues to still have. So no, I don't think Cena's going to win. I think he's going to last long. I think he's probably going to be in the final four. Um, and I could even see him coming out early to really get him back into the groove of being back in the ring into that full-time role for that last run. So I could see him being like a five, coming out to 5 to 10 range early in the Rumble and stretching it out. He could just lay on the side, get beat up a couple times, and wait. I think eventually he'll be the final four. Who the final four will be, that's something that we could discuss soon. But I think, but yeah, my pick for this Rumble, I think, is pretty obvious. As I think what they're making it seem like is going to be CM Punk, and he finally conquers and gets that main event WrestleMania match that he is desired to be about for even before he left the company.
Yeah, I mean it would seem that that is the way. I mean, they've mentioned it so many times about how Punk has not main evented a Mania, and I mean it's two nights. The guy has come back. He's one of the biggest stars in the company. Like he 1,000,000% deserves it.
Yep.
I don't think he's going to win. I think he'll win the Rumble and then lose at Mania. I don't think he wins the title. I do see him winning the Rumble. Now, did they make it a little obvious with the last few weeks of promos where it's so clear that he's the favorite? They want you to think it's him and then he doesn't win.
Yep.
That's a possibility. I mean, as you mentioned, Cody said this is going to be the most unpredictable Mania of all time, and it feels like we're there. If you told me Punk wins, I'd believe it. If you told me Cena wins, I'd believe it. If you told me Rollins wins, I'd believe it. If you told me that Snowden was spot on, that Jey Uso is actually going to win, I'd believe it. After his promo on Raw, where he said, I can beat Gunther, I know I can. If you told me Jey Uso wins the Rumble on Saturday, I would not be shocked. I don't think he does, but it feels like this is how open the Rumble is because of how much they forced the idea that Punk is winning this.
Yeah. No, really talking about going back to Jey Uso, he's getting his moment soon. You feel it, you see it. He's getting that moment soon. He's winning a world title in the next 6 months. And I can say that almost guarantee. That's how confident I am. And he deserves it. So, will it be a Rumble curve? That would be amazing. I mean,
60,000
how
people?
electric Yeating, just I can just vision that now, just how amazing that is going to look and how he will present himself and his mic work. On top of just being a champion or just being a guy that wins such a big thing like a Money in the Bank or the Rumble, you got to be good on the mic. And he's got that. He's got that it factor. So watching him, like again, he's another guy. Anytime he talks, I'm visioned in every single time. And I'm like, ooh, ooh, every single time he talks. Because he's just electrifying. No rock attended here, but just
Yeah.
electrifying on that mic. And I hope, that would be a great surprise, honestly. That would be honestly a great surprise. And I would be through the roof happy as a wrestling fan and happy for him because he really does deserve it.
I feel
But
like it would put to bed a lot of when people think Triple H is so predictable, there's no shock factor. Well, it's like I think there's plenty of times where he's pretty unpredictable. A lot of people, not myself, a lot of people thought Jey Uso was beating Gunther at Saturday night's main event. I had no doubt that the GOAT would
yeah,
retain, but I saw so much of people thinking Jey was winning that match. Then he loses and people go, predictable. It's like, well, you didn't predict that. That was not your
yeah,
predict.
no,
If Jey won the Rumble, I'd be stunned if people were saying that was predictable because that would be one of the more unpredictable outcomes. Punk is the favorite for, you know, deservedly so.
yep,
2 years ago, we knew Cody was going to win.
Yeah.
Last year, we
I
had
feel
the
like Punk
fear
was
that
going to win.
yeah, like there was the fear that Cody wasn't going to win because the
Yep.
whole Rock thing had started to happen. But since he did, he was still a massive favorite. It was him or Punk. They
Yeah.
made it like pretty clear that it was a two-horse race between the two of them. This year feels like, is it going to be that obvious? Like, I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe it is, but just because it is Punk's win and it guarantees a spot at Mania, it's such a great moment that it doesn't really matter. Similar to Cody winning
Yeah.
last year. Like, it's not the surprise, but we're so happy and elated that it actually happens that we don't even
Yeah.
care that it was the expected thing. That's kind of where it feels like it may be. But dude, they just keep pushing so hard that it's like, yeah, this guy's the winner. This guy's clearly going to win.
Yep.
And anytime they do that, you know they're setting you up for something.
Yeah. Especially with him making these comments about Cena a lot. A lot of Cena comments.
Yeah.
Like, I see you. Even though you say you can't see me, I see you. And he said that like multiple times already in the last 3 weeks. So it's like, is that going to be just the final two on top of just Punk winning? Or are they going to hit us up with the curve and Cena is going to toss him over the rope and Cena's just going to be the outright winner? And Cena being promoted for Elimination Chamber is just him going to be there as uh, the Rumble winner. And that's that. He's just going to make an appearance, say, because he can just go out there, talk to the crowd, pump everybody up, and then go backstage and just be, the Rumble winner recipient. So that could be another way, just like throwing a curve, like, Punk throwing all the shade to Cena all the time. And their feud goes way back, as we know. So it's like Cena's gonna maybe Punk will see him eventually, and he'll be outside the ring looking up again. How am I going to get to main event? And then maybe Punk will be in the Elimination Chamber, and that's how we'll get in the main event. Maybe it's reverse psychology. Like that's a possibility that I've been thinking about lately is that Cena could just be the outright winner. Would it make more sense for Punk just to win outright? Yeah. And Cena not being on TV talking since the first, Raw on Netflix. Yeah, that definitely could make sense. But I feel like Cena could definitely just come out, win, and then just come out, talk at the Elimination Chamber, represent, be like, hey, I'm going to WrestleMania type of stuff, hype up the crowd, go along his way, and then Punk's like trying to figure out like, how am I going to get there?
Yeah, and I mean, we've stressed it. We've mentioned it before. It feels like every wrestler essentially has a spider web. And with
Yep.
WrestleMania, every spider web is leading to Mania, but they all have these multiple routes. Like Punk, I would guess he's gonna face Cody. I mean, their promo on Raw, it was like, God, we need this actual feud. But he's got this favor with Heyman at the same time.
Oh yeah, I was about to bring that
And
up.
yeah, and it's like if Punk faced Roman at Mania, that wouldn't be shocking at all. Drew talking adds fuel to the fire of the Punk Heyman Roman dynamic. You also have Rollins still wants his get back at Punk. You have Punk wanting Gunther at the same time because he called him out months ago before Drew
Yeah,
interrupted. There's so many avenues, and then you mentioned Cena. Like, it's not impossible that Punk and Cena end up taking each other out at some point, and that
yeah,
ends up being the Mania match because this is Cena's last Mania match.
yeah.
So
Regardless,
it better not be a fucking match against Logan Paul where it's
no,
like, like Logan's great in the ring, but John Cena's last ever WrestleMania match is Logan. Like, no, marquee moment. John
yeah,
Cena's last ever match is against CM Punk, one of his biggest rivals. Like, that's a possibility. It feels like every guy has all these spider webs, and obviously it'll be hindsight's 2020 for whenever it happens. Say Punk wins the Rumble and faces Cody, we can sit here with hindsight and be like, oh yeah, it makes perfect sense. Well, of course it
yeah,
makes perfect sense because they're booking it. They know what they're doing.
yeah. Exactly. So what? Going back, because I was going to bring this up. I feel like a big important thing that we got to discuss real quick is this Roman, Paul Heyman, CM Punk possible favor. And I don't know if you saw on Raw, they're dropping an interview on before the Rumble
Yep.
in
With
regards to
Jackie
Punk
Redmond.
meeting with regarding that favor. So we'll see. But I think what I think is going to happen if Paul Heyman's eventually going to turn on Roman and be back with CM Punk at some point and really get back to like have Roman be at that pinnacle again, top of the mountain, having his Ulafala back again. And now let's say Roman gets thrown over the rope, all like pulls his feet, makes him fall. But like that's his favor, or Punk, like Paul just helping Punk in some way. Maybe Roman is in the final. I think Roman's going to be in the final four or final three. You can't have Roman be eliminated mid Rumble. He has to be one of the final guys, regardless. So I think there's some way or form. I think his favor is going to get shown at this Rumble. I don't
Do you
think
think
it's
it
going to
happens at
get
the Rumble?
shown. I think it happens at the Rumble. How it will happen? I have no, really don't really have an idea. I don't think anybody really has an idea, which is great because no one has an idea. There's no leaks out there what it could be. But I think it does happen at the Rumble in some way or form, which would probably give Punk the win at the Rumble with Roman getting costed by Paul Heyman down the line.
Yeah, it's very possible. You know, you mentioned Roman's a lock for Final Four. This men's Rumble, honestly, it's like it feels like we shouldn't even mention Final Four. It's like Final Eight or Final 10.
Yeah.
Because when you go through it, Punk, Cena, Roman, Drew, Rollins, Logan, Penta, Braun Breaker,
Oh,
LA Knight. It's like oh, they have so many big names that it's like, you know, how they do it almost like it's a cut scene, but they when it's the final four and they're all in
yep.
each corner and they take the shot, whatever. Oh my, you know, they do it every Rumble. They did it 2 years ago, I want to say, when it was like final eight. This one they might do. There's like 10 guys left. Like, because
Yeah.
it's all so many big names that it's like, yeah, that's the big moment where holy shit, these are the final 10 guys of the Rumble. And these guys, any one of them can actually win it. Jay Uso, I forgot to mention him. Jay, like, that's legit. You can make an
Yeah.
easy 10 that could be your final 10. And it's like any of these guys could win.
And then you got to throw in Jacob Fatu,
Yeah, Jacob
just getting
Fatu is
that
pretty cool.
major push. There's no way he's going to get thrown over right away. So he's
Yeah.
going to probably linger around there and that maybe in that top 10 too, just to
And
be,
then is Solo back? Does Solo return for the Rumble as well? Not like if he does, he's going to be in the mix. He's not going to win, but he's going to be in the mix when it's the important parts of the Rumble.
and is Jacob going to toss Solo over the ring? That's the real question too, to start
It's
that feud. Because I feel like eventually they're going to turn on Solo real quick and you could see it already. So I don't know. I'm very excited to see how this is going to turn out. Again, it's not as predictable as what people want to make it seem like with the Punk possibly winning. Because again, they could throw the curve and throw Jey Uso winning, and then that'll just throw everybody off and be like, "Oh, okay, we're going this route. I'll jump on this roller coaster. Let's go!" Like, I'm excited to see what Triple H has planned for this women's and men's Rumble because you really don't have an idea. As much as they're making it obvious to make it sound like it's Punk, you have Cena coming back. Like, that's a major thing. That's always going to be in the back,
yeah.
creeping up. As much as we can't see him, he's coming.
Yeah.
So,
This
yeah,
is this is the most must-see Rumble probably of all time, specifically the Rumble match, but the card itself, it's going to be amazing. We're going to be live for it. Alec, you're going to be a part of more stuff going forward. You are the boy. You are the honorary C2E of the channel. Thank you, buddy,
appreciate it.
for joining. We
Thank you for
uh
having me on.
we will be live for the Rumble. I have no clue how this PLE is going to play out. I have ideas, but I am so excited that it's finally days away. It feels so close. I rewatched Raw last night and it got that like, oh, it's Mania season. Like
Yeah.
Mania season's right. It's right there. You know, all the little teases that you're seeing online, like, oh, it's Mania season. It's coming. You know, it's like that first day when it's the first day of spring, that first day of 60-degree
Yeah.
weather, and you're like, ooh, yeah, the first day without the
Yeah.
sweatshirt. That's exactly what Raw feels like right now. It's like, oh, I feel it. It's so close. Tomorrow might be 45 and the next day might be 40, but I got this 60-degree day that's telling me
Yeah.
spring's coming. That's exactly what it's like. So
Got
thank you so much for joining tonight, and you'll be involved going forward with some fun stuff that we have planned down the line in the near future and in the long future. But that is going to do it for this pod. We've got the reactions live stream. Be there. Come hang out. We'll have a post show, post video. Maybe it's about Punk winning. Maybe it's about Cena winning. Maybe it's a rant because fucking Logan Paul wins and we think
yeah.
it's the worst shit ever. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening. Make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications. We will catch you guys next time. Snowden, feel better.
Feel better.